He's here. See none. Great. Thank you very much, Nikki. You're done. Thank you very much. Since Nikki did such a great job and we have 10 extra minutes, we're going to take that as a break time. Okay, welcome back. We have two more presentations to finish out the presentations for the day. Next we have up is Jessica Hansen, Community Coordinator for Community Development. Jessica, it's all yours.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I know you've had a lengthy day full of meaningful conversations, so I'll try and keep it brief, but still have some great information, and I look forward to some great discussions after as well. So I am here to present the Community Development Department 2026 budget. So first, just some warm fuzzies to kind of get the ball rolling. Our youth volunteer retention is up. So by that, I mean we have a core group of volunteers that are actually signing up to volunteer from event to event, which is encouraging and kind of shows we're on the right path for volunteer management. We presented 47 events in 11 different locations this year. And again, that's encouraging because we're plunking events into spaces that otherwise haven't seen something like that in the past. Like we're going to these parks. Centennial Park is a great example. We had a major event there in August and had some great response. So that is encouraging, and we plan to continue to do so. We expanded 6 different programs and events, and by that I mean like our March break activities, our PA day activities. We added some more programming into Pumpkin Fest, and we also had a senior seminar series. And then kind of a high great note is that we had some presenting sponsors for this year. So for Movies in the Park, we had 2 separate businesses that sponsored the entirety of the Movies in the Park. Our Seniors Take Charge seminar series was sponsored by a grant. Jamming at the Junction, as well as the Ultimate Show, had presenting sponsors. And just recently, we secured a sponsor for the Santa Claus Parade streaming, which is very important to our residents. So that's exciting news as well. So 2026 is really going to have a community focus. We intend to do so through 3 pillars. The first being enhanced engagement. And for that, I mean with residents, additional surveys and seeking feedback to help shape our future events. And not just a week later, we put out a survey saying, how did you like this event? We've been very intentional, and Pumpkin Fest was the start, that at the end of each day on social media, we're saying, thanks for coming, some pretty pictures. Here's the link to a survey to seek your feedback. So we're going to continue to do that into 2026 and plan for that at each of the events, as well as actually having boots on the ground with a person with maybe just a notepad saying, where's your postal code? How did you hear from us? Just some simple data to kind of keep this ball rolling of figuring out how we're reaching people, who's coming, and what led them to these events. And then for businesses, enhanced feedback. By that, I mean, we've been very intentional this year to have like curated sponsorship packages. So not just sending out one blanket letter saying, here's the event coming up, can you sponsor it? But actually connecting with these businesses one-on-one and having that conversation of, you would like to support. Okay, would you like to be on site? What would you like to do? What are your goals for this year to be involved in the community? How do you want to be seen? And then creating some sort of package that connects them to the event in a meaningful way. Also, local awareness. So connecting with all residents to ensure that they are aware of the programs and events in their community. So we know that there are a lot of new people in town, and we also know that there are a lot of new people coming. So reaching those people where they're at and making sure that they're aware of what's coming up. The banners across Bridge Street are an example of that. We have new banners for our pillar special events, making sure that we're capturing people at their neighborhood parks. We have lawn signs that have gone in. So just trying to reach people where they are at, instead of just assuming Facebook is the way or print is the way, kind of doing a combination of all of those things. And then community festivals and events, again, is the biggest part of this department. So we know that we know that community festivals and events connect people with one another. It connects people with the businesses in their community, and it helps people feel a sense of belonging and community. That's what events do. And an example of that, and kind of a warm fuzzy, is our park parties. We could physically see people meeting one another and actually shaking hands because they're actually meeting each other, maybe sometime for the first time. So that's what we want to see, and that's what we want to foster for 2026. So we will do so. My budget is the same as last year, just with a flipping of some budget lines. So materials and supplies at 35,000, and that's for all of the activities, the crafts, the decor, the signage, volunteer support, any movie or music licensing, and then amenities if we need to rent them. An example of that would be like portable toilets or generators if we're going into parks that don't have such things. And then contracted services at 75,000. That is all your musicians, your roaming buskers, your air bouncers, the staff to work the air bouncers, your fireworks, your drones, your marching bands, all of that fun stuff. And just to keep in mind that those two totals are spread out through 40 events throughout the year. Now, again, with contracted services, it feels like a biggie, but to put it into context, Canada Day eats up about 20,000 of that budget simply because fireworks and entertainment on a holiday are not cheap. So there's that. So just to keep that in mind. And then community enrichment, again, it's been previously discussed, but an increase to that budget line to support the fee structure changes and to further support the organizations in our community. So I keep saying 4 pillars. So we kind of believe that these 4 events are kind of the pillars of special events presented by the town of Carleton Place. Canada Day, a feather in our cap, is I believe it is the biggest and best in Lanark County, because we have such a full day event with an assortment of activities and we want to continue to do so. The next 2 years will present challenges because of the construction of the water treatment plant. So that space is kind of cut up in a weird way. So we'll have to plan for moving some of those activities down Riverside Park, as well as potentially having some indoor activities as well to kind of make sure we still have a full day event, but be cognizant of the space that we are working with. Pumpkin Fest, it was council's direction that you really wanted to see a signature tourism event. And hands down, Pumpkin Fest is that. It's a multi-day event. It has an assortment of activities. It brings people to town. And that is kind of our signature event that we want to continue to develop. Winterfest is our newer one. The second year of it will be next Saturday, which we are looking forward to. We might actually have snow, which will be interesting. And again, an evening event, which we don't have a lot of. It incorporates some vendors, some music, some activities, as well as some characters that will be roaming throughout the town. So look forward to that. And then Santa Claus Parade, another feather in our cap. I also believe the Santa Claus Parade is the biggest in Lanark County, and we plan to continue to do so. It again has some challenges over the next couple of years because of the construction at Riverside Park and moving vehicles and getting them there safely. But just again, a note for the Santa Claus Parade, because it's so big, because of the structure of our streets that we're using for the route, it requires a lot of signage, a lot of ropes, a lot of staffing to get this all up, take it all down, a lot of OPP support to help with those major intersections to make sure that they're opening and closed safely. And safety is the utmost priority. I think there's like 50 staff and volunteers that are involved in the Santa Claus Parade. So it's a biggie, but it is very important to our community. And then to complement that, as you'll see in your budget binder, we had the projected 2026 events and activities. So that's kind of the summary of what we plan to do. And within that, these are kind of the complementary events that you'll see throughout the year. Outdoor shows is your top left. And again, that's the ultimate show that we had at Centennial Park. It was really encouraging to see the amount of people that walked because it was in their neighborhood and how excited they were that we were actually offering something at that side of town. So now that we've done it once, we kind of have a better lay of the land of what to do in that space and what amenities we need to make that possible. So we will continue to do so. Our Movies in the Park was one of the programs / events that we expanded for 2025. We had 5 showings. Again, they were all very well received and we hope to continue to do them next year. Our Jammin' at the Junction, again, expanded and sponsored, had some great feedback and we hope to continue it. Bike night, you don't see it in your schedule, but I put it in because we're still kind of having a question mark of bike night. This was the first event that we had last year, and it was a partnership with Ride for Dad. Fundraising wise for them, it was incredibly beneficial. It was really nice to start to foster that relationship, but it's still kind of a question mark of where to put it. There's been a lot of conversation of should it actually be downtown instead and kind of have a section of downtown closed off. So further conversations need to be had, and I'm kind of back and forth with Smith Falls because they have a very successful bike night that they've expanded. So we might kind of lean on their expertise for that. And then park parties, again, I touched on that. At last year's budget, I shared with you that we were hoping to create a more enhanced program where residents would actually come forward and they would nominate their park and they would offer their time to help make these events possible. And it did just that, which was wonderful. So we're going to hope to do that again next year in a few different parks, hopefully, if the residents nominate their park. But again, a very encouraging community event where it was really like community based and people were meeting with one another and connecting. And that was wonderful. And then our family dances, if you haven't been to one, it's a party. But they're popular. We see a couple hundred people at each of these events. They're very simple. There are a couple hours of music, some small activities. And again, another connector for communities, for the community. You can see families, parents talking with one another while the kids play and dance. So we plan to continue those next year. And then looking to 2026, some exciting highlights. We have 2 concerts booked for the town hall currently. We also know that we are going to be the host community for the 55 Plus Expo, which plans to be sometime in June, date to be hammered out. One of the frequent comments amongst residents is they wanted indoor movies to return. I guess if you've gone to the cinema lately, you know how expensive it is. So perhaps I can see why. But again, that's another nice community event that is feasible for us. So we hope to implement that back into the schedule. And again, I mentioned volunteer training. So right now we're doing very well with retaining youth volunteers because they don't need to do as much training. But once they're an adult under our insurance, they need to go through all of the similar training that staff do, which is time consuming. And it's difficult to hand a volunteer 2 binders and say, okay, go read this, and then you're certified. So the intention is to have a couple of volunteer training days where we kind of lump a lot of that reading in, work with one another, and then have some great conversations about where these people can volunteer once they are done the training. So that's a plan for 2026 as well. And again, the accessible enhancements, I don't think I actually touched on that, so my apologies. So I'm currently going through some webinar training to enhance our special events to make sure they're more accessible. So I'll have more information on that soon. And again, you saw the presentation with CPAC, who are requesting to have some funding to have some greening enhancements to events next year. We think some of that can be done in-house already. And we've also applied to an Ontario Trillium grant to help supplement funding for that project. Unfortunately, we won't know the result of that until March, but regardless, we're cognizant of this needs to be put in motion for 2026. So that's why you'll see that there. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Jessica. That was fantastic. Lots of hands up. We will start off with Councillor Sekaspita.
Thanks, Jess, for all you do. I want to take a shout out to the Men's Shed who went above and beyond this year. And when you said getting sponsors with Rona, Lepin, Kia, Kavanaugh, and anybody else, thank you so much for doing the job. Questions. We had a run a month ago, and we had over 500 people in town. Any chance of getting that again this year?
Thank you through the chair. You'll have to talk to them. But yes, I've met with Kevin Cosgrove just very briefly, and they already have plans of expanding for next year. And Joanne can also confirm this, but we've never seen an organization come forward with such management and organization, and they had it figured out. They had the OPP in place. They figured out how to raise the funds. It was incredibly encouraging to see that type of group come forward. So yes, I believe they are moving forward with 2026, and they are even talking about a kids run to add for 2027, but they said baby steps.
I don't know if you know, but years ago, they used to have the Almont Carlton Place run where they would start in Almont on the outskirts and run to Carlton Place. That was the run every year. We also had a swim. We had a swim from the canoe club out to the bridge and back. Now, my last question is, and it's a scratch I want to keep itching, the pizza oven. We are losing so much with community, whatever, with this pizza oven. And I know Milano's came and they did a great job at it. Isn't there a chance we can get them to do it?
Kind of, sort of. So Milano's donated the supplies to Cycling Without Age Lanark County, who did it. I don't know how much training they had done previously, but they realized it was a lot of work. We know that it's a lot of work. So that's definitely something we can implement into our training for 2026 as well. It's a unique space though. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Councillor Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Response to the oven thing.
Yeah, I spoke to Jess a couple weeks ago. Next spring, I think I will volunteer to do a few Saturdays over there just to get more interest, because we got the thing online. We've got it's ready to go. It's ready to rent. It just hasn't had a lot of uptake. So I'll get out there and maybe we can convince a few other people, maybe some staff, to come out as well and just get people interested in it again.
And just to piggyback that, a lot of work had been done by staff to get it all online and have a nice video and make it a little more user friendly for people to know how to use the oven. So some progress has been made, but I think I agree. Come springtime, that's when we kind of really put boots in the ground and encourage people to use it.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Not so much a question because very good presentation, lots of information. And, you know, I love a signature event and I do believe that our signature events, our tourism drivers, they do put CP on the map, and bring people to town. And the list of events this year, last year, coming up is astounding for this department, both the budget and the human resources behind it. So, amazing. But specifically, I just want to point out that those little community program events, you know, you and I have had this conversation, the park parties, the family dances, I attend as many as I can. They are beyond impactful for the money that they put in. You see community connecting, it reduces loneliness, it improves quality of life. There really is nothing better we can do for these neighborhoods, watching these kids make friends, watching parents talk and get to know their neighbors. So seeing that program expanded and those little things, they're worth their weight in gold. They don't maybe bring in tourisms, but in terms of quality of life for residents, I'm so happy to see them continue to expand. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Councillor Kavanaugh. Councillor Conley.
Thank you. I want to say congratulations on another successful year. We had some fantastic events. The feedback from residents has been very popular. They like it. They want to see more. You do a whole lot with a skeleton budget. I gotta say, you're one of the few departments I'd like to throw more money at. I do have a question about the $5,700 mud support. What is that? Is that new?
Okay, so this is all part of the new community enrichment in-kind piece that was discussed at the Recreation Service Delivery Review team with Mark and Toby and Andrew. So when we did our fees, that group decided that, I just got to wrap my head around what the discussion again, that group decided that we wanted to simplify our hall rental fees. We didn't want all these, you know, various 100 different fees for 100 different things. So we came up with straightforward fees for everybody. But what that didn't do is give a discount to our not-for-profit community organizations like we always had. So rather than reduce the fee and have 100 fees, we wanted to increase the community enrichment grant program by an in-kind amount. So the fees would go in the fees, but we'd offset them with this in-kind grant. So really the money is zero. Working our way through, that was our original plan. And then we hit a bump with the MUDs. The MUDs were not paying the fee for the not-for-profit community organizations. They had a special deal from way back when that gave them a significantly higher discount than everybody else. So we want to phase that out was the discussion, but we can't do it all at once because that would hit them by $6,000 this year. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the plan is like a 5-year plan and it would reduce by 20% each year until that is gone. And they would just get the same new community enrichment in-kind grant as everybody else.
Perfect. Mayor Randall.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. And I'll echo what Councillor Conley said. You do a lot with a little and greatly appreciate it. I love data. It always helps kind of put in front of you what you're attempting to do. And we made a decision at the beginning of this term to do just this. And so seeing the numbers, good and bad, and the fact that you're learning from them as you go and stuff, it's awesome. I think that our citizens Really love it, hear about it all the time. I really like the idea of the major ones like Pumpkin Fest. Probably Pumpkin Fest, asking for postal code to find out how many people we're bringing, because walking through Pumpkin Fest specifically, I didn't know anybody. Like I literally didn't recognize a person. Well, no, but I like to think I know some people in town. I didn't recognize a single person walking through that for an hour one day. And it was like, how many people are we drawing? Or are these just all new folks that are moving to the area? Which is the idea, is we're trying to bring people into town, shop in our, come to these programs and festivals, and then spend a bit of time going to dinner and shopping and stuff. So it'd be interesting just to collect that data. So thank you for that, but I appreciate the information more than anything, because it really hits home that the decisions we made 3 years ago are really kind of coming to fruition. So thank you very much.
Any other questions or discussions? Deputy Mayor Tennant?
A couple of years ago, we were talking about expanding Pumpkin Fest into sort of Oktoberfest for the evenings. Is this still on the table? Are we still looking at doing some of these more adult version events? And are we still looking at maybe adjusting the alcohol bylaw?
You through the chair. Municipal alcohol policy is not my forte yet. But yes, I believe that that document is being worked on. We have also had some conversations with local businesses of that venture, and there is an interest. It's just figuring out that sweet spot of how to work that into Pumpkin Fest in the most feasible way. Because we had talked previously about using the outdoor rink at Junction, sorry. But then what do you do for rains? Like there's a lot of variables. So we've kind of shifted our focus back over to Market Square for those components of it. We've also had conversations with food truck vendors, like maybe do we just fill that space with a whole bunch of delicious food options and kind of let people roam through that with some entertainment? Like there's lots of conversations taking place, but that's not dead in the water. It's just slowly moving towards it.
Mayor Randall?
Sorry, I just also remembered the race around the place. I would think that that's going to be doubled next year is probably what you're looking at. So instead of 550 racers, they could have upwards of 1,000. They were turning people away. It sold out so fast. Yeah, Mark, I know Mark was really disappointed he didn't get the half marathon in at the. But I would also say, like, I appreciate you reaching out to the community and looking for those sponsors. And highlighting the businesses. One of the things that I'm not sure if we have, but were we attached to the Candy Burner in any way, shape, or form? I know cycling has sorry. Okay, so I know cycling has truly become a big thing locally, and we have a couple of groups that are really trying to push that. So it's great for tourism, and that the Candy Burner itself was massive. I drove by it and I forgot it was that day, and there was hundreds of bikers there. So another great event that brings people to town.
Thank you, Mayor Randall. No? Well, I guess I would be remiss to not pump your tires some more, because what I wrote here was so much with so little that brings so much back to our community. First of all, I'd like to know if we can clone you. And I'm absolutely with Councillor Comley's comment. If there was a department that I would be more than willing to give additional funds to see, because we get so much out of it, I'm all in. I'm pushing my chips right to you. So great job again this year. Great, thank you very much. Okay, last but not least,
And dress for success.
look at that. We have Blake with us in his brand new spiffy suit. Some people buy new shoes on budget day. Blake went and got a new suit. Good for you.
Oh, thank you. Did want to point out that it is primarily green, the outfit, because I'm trying to respect the green, and I fully respect and appreciate where it comes from for my capital projects. So take a second and I'll get my presentation slides up here. How do we get rid of that? There's Jess. Yeah. Okay.
No, you haven't shared it in, so it goes on screen.
How do we do that? Oh, Zoom, right? Yeah.
So we're having a few problems with our IT. IT manager, we're having some IT problems, so bear with us as our treasurer sorts it out for our IT manager.
Thank you for having me this afternoon. I'm going to try to be very succinct with this. There are quite a few things to cover. So we'll get to the one of the best parts, and that is that I have managed to reduce my operating budget to the tune of $45,000, $23,000, not $23 in savings on materials, and another 22,000 in savings for contracted services. I'm really hoping to continue that. And I do have a strategy behind that. And there's a slide toward the end that will reveal the thinking behind that. Reviewing the 2025 capital projects, we completed the library network rebuild. If Mariah was here, she would say save for one antenna that has not been installed, but we're waiting for some cooperation with Ross's department and his cabling guy. So that will be completed for 2025. We completed our technology replacement, if everybody is familiar. Windows 10 reached end of life. Everybody's favorite operating system is no more. And we had to replace a lot of hardware. This was the first time in a long time that Microsoft implemented an upgrade to Windows 10 that actually obsoleted a bunch of hardware. So that's been completed. Amongst our IT steering committee projects, the childcare software project is coming to fruition. That one was originally budgeted for $100,000, and we are going to be able to implement it for around 10. And you may say, well, why? How did that happen? Originally, the budget was created as a view to replacing what we have now, which was on-premises servers, on-premises software, the backup units to go with that, and all of the hardware that it relies on. What we did was we continued with our cloud forward sort of move, and we found a software as a service vendor. So it will be delivered completely via the web. And it is, and according to one of the reasons behind doing it was the service delivery review of daycare. And one of the big recommendations was to replace many different software packages that they were using with a single comprehensive solution, and we've been able to achieve that. Our online.carletonplace.ca service delivery portal continues to be developed. I have a special slide just for that one, so that's coming. A really, really big successful project that we undertook and is almost finished and will be finished this year is our VoIP project. So we replaced the telephone systems for the entire town. All 7 locations in the town now share a unified cloud-based telephone system. Some of the benefits for this include everyone in the organization now has 4-digit dialing to each other. Calling daycare was dialing 10 digits and then dialing 3 more. And it was so many, you didn't want to call there. So now everybody, same for the fire department, exactly. Yeah, school age. So everybody is under the same umbrella. The really nice thing to tell you about with this is we have managed to eliminate about $25,000 worth of bell lines. Those are ongoing savings into the future. Further wrap up on 2025 capital projects. The fire department operations software is underway. We're hoping to award that and not carry. Well, we're not gonna. It's not one of the carryovers. It's going to happen this year. There may be further implementation and training in the new year, but it's underway. We've continued to expand our SSO footprint, or our single sign-on. And if you're familiar with the project that was identified for 2025, it was mostly geared toward PSD. And what single sign-on does is it eliminates a password for a particular piece of software because it actually authenticates through our M365 identity software. That in turn takes advantage of our cybersecurity software. So you not only eliminate a password, you strengthen the online login part of it. And we've managed to expand that to 7 other pieces of software that staff use to log in. It blends in the Microsoft multi-factor authentication. So it makes it way more secure and at the same time way easier for staff because you're eliminating all kinds of passwords. On the EDRMS project front, and that is our electronic document and records management system. That was a big project for Stacy Blair and myself in 2023. We have 1 site left, and that is the library to be integrated into this system. It uses SharePoint for document storage, document collaboration, records management, and the storage of all of the working documents for all staff. The GIS vehicle tracking for our snow operations is being installed. We were really hoping to have it in place for our first snowfall, and who knew it was going to snow before Remembrance Day. Online service development continues. We added boat passes, we added parade registration, pet tags, facilities booking is being done now and will be delivered this year for things like the auditorium booking, for the two halls at the arena, and for ice. So excited about that. One really big project that turned out incredibly well was our collaboration with StoneShare on Nikki's electronic development permit application software. And that it will be delivered via our online portal. But in the background, it combines the efforts that we've made with our electronic document records management system, because through the use of my favorite acronym, APIs, application programming interfaces, we have actually integrated the two systems so that they completely talk to each other. More on integration and APIs coming. So drivers for 2026, this is much the same as we had for 2025. It is working with trusted, proven vendors. 2025 saw the review of 3 of our IT vendors that were falling short on their service commitments. The result is that we replaced 3 of them, and that was our M365 licensing partner. We achieved savings with that. Our cyber awareness training program was US based. And if you're familiar, people would get tests for phishing and it would be from the IRS, that kind of thing. And so we went with a Canadian provider in CIRA, the Canadian Internet Registration Authority. And the program it's really going well. More than 50% of staff are through that training. And unfortunately, we're just about to onboard another group, and that is you guys. So it's coming. And then the third one was our waste app, because so much is changing on that front with circular materials. We don't have a need for a waste app per se, as we do for a recycling app, but people will still be able to get an app for Carleton Place waste pickup and recycling. They're 2 different apps, but the one that we're responsible for, we replaced a US vendor with a Canadian vendor, and again, achieved some savings. Cheryl Ann has done a fantastic job of moving people from the old app to the new app. Automation will continue to drive 2026, and that is the integration opportunities, especially with the new ERP system. The new system, and I have a slide for that coming, is all about APIs. And just to give you an idea, APIs, application programming interfaces, allow 2 completely disparate software packages to talk to each other securely. We do have a few carryover projects. Mostly they are well underway or were delayed due to reasons outside the IT department's purview. But again, like the daycare example, we're just because we have budget, we're not going to spend it. So if something comes up and we don't need to spend the money, we save it and move on. So taking a look at 2026, there is the behemoth of the projects. And I know it sticks out like a sore thumb on the money side, but we've been through that before. We know how important this one is, and especially because we understand the benefits to integrating it with everything else we do for the first time ever. So we're really looking forward to that. Our project kickoff for that is actually scheduled for next week. Yep. All right. So to give everybody an idea, because I get asked every once in a while, well, what is the system that we're moving to. And it took a little while, it took some practice, so I'll try you on. It is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. It is being implemented by a company called Endeavor Solutions, and it uses custom-built components from a company in Calgary called Sylogist Gov, and that gives us the ability to do tax and water and
Cash receiving.
yeah,
Payroll.
payroll, yeah, and HR opportunities.
That we didn't have before.
That we never had. So it is completely, again, web-based software as a service. We don't depend on any on-prem solutions. And furthermore, it's not just like when we had Central Square, they called it cloud-based, but basically it was what we call remote desktop. You were logging into a cloud-based server, which isn't a whole lot different than having a physical server. It's just mounted in a rack somewhere else. It has a completely open API, which will in turn support our online efforts. And we're exploring its API integration with our other software, including like the children's, the childcare software. Almost every other municipality in Lanark is moving towards using the same system. So there's going to be tremendous opportunity to for cooperation, which, if you recall, was something that was identified in the IT master plan. I didn't do all of these in order, and there are a few, so you may want to check these off, but I'll go through these ones quickly. The AODA compliant web code thing will bring our publicly facing websites up to compliance with the province's requirement to make them accessible. Staff have been trained in making documents and the content accessible, but the underlying code that delivers it is nowhere close. So we're hoping to engage a consultant and bring our websites up to compliance, and furthermore come up with a sustainable plan to keep them in compliance moving forward that doesn't cost us a whole bunch. The building inspectors have laptops that they were using in the field, but they have identified that they think a tablet solution will work better. That one is one of my few that is not tax funded. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The childcare software, I'm carrying over some of that $100,000 and the $90,000 savings part to explore integration with our ERP system. The vendor doesn't have an open API for that one, but we think we have a good workaround for that. So that's what that project is about. The citizen portal for building permits was carried over again because we think we can leverage the new ERP system better than the solution that was presented to us by PSD Citywide. The physical network security project, we have done a really fantastic job, and I have a security report following the open session on that. And we've secured ourselves from attack from, Russian hackers. But we are vulnerable at every one of our locations by somebody just walking in and making a mess of our equipment. And so we'd like to beef things up. Examples being that where there's like completely open racks at some of our facilities, we'll put them into a locking cabinet. The server room here at Town Hall, we would put wire caging around the server rack. That one in particular, when the renovations were happening, we identified that, the trades had to come and go to get their work done. And so they propped both doors open, and there's big electrical panels in that room they needed access to. So everything was open all day long. You just had to walk right in and you had access to our server rack. which, you know, although we don't have any physical servers anymore, we do have all of our switches and, you know, there's still a lot of equipment that could be really, really messed up physically. Our EDMRS project continues, and we're hoping to leverage StoneShare to help us take advantage of workflows to create efficiencies there. That's a project in cooperation with Stacy Blair and the clerk's office. Recreation work orders were carried forward, anticipating changes to departments there, but also to give the AMP, the asset management plan crew, a chance to put all of recreation's assets into the system, because you can't have work orders if you don't have all the assets in the system. The HR workflows, Laura looked at an opportunity with StoneShare, but we deferred this one because, again, we think that there are going to be some really exciting solutions with the new ERP system. The Tom Rims legacy move is we still have a tremendous amount in SharePoint, but in our old SharePoint site that we need to keep. Some of it needs to be archived. There are development permits, there are building permits in this system, and although it's legacy, they have to be kept forever. They have a permanent retention value, and we need StoneShare's help to move these to a permanent home that doesn't take up space in our SharePoint environment. To give you an idea of the cost savings that can be achieved by getting this stuff out of our SharePoint, there's about a terabyte or 1,000 gigabytes worth of our SharePoint that we can move to another facility. And the difference in cost is, in SharePoint, we look at about 30 cents per gigabyte per month. Moving them to a permanent storage location would be about 1.5 cents per gigabyte per month. Math is pretty good. The online service delivery portal development continued. We're going to carry over a big chunk of that, but I'll tell you why that's a good thing. In 2025, we really took advantage of Aiden being able to work pretty much full time. He was able to do that. He had 2 co-op terms. He had completed 1 co-op term. The college had all kinds of his cohort who couldn't get any more co-op terms because of the state of the economy. And so they reduced the requirement to 1, and he had 2 semesters where he had nothing else. So he worked with us, and we made a lot of progress. But we do realize that for 2026, we're going to have to engage professional development assistants to move things forward. This amount also includes Aiden working with the town through till the end of the summer of 2026. That's when he finishes school, and he will likely land himself a very, very cushy entry-level position. I think he's going to do very well. And I have a new idea moving forward in 2027 that I'll share in a minute. Other 2026 capital projects, and I met with a few of you, and I promised that I would produce this slide. I was asked, well, where can you achieve savings, Blake? And we're going to move the agenda building software to 2027. That's $17,000. The council chamber meeting tech, we know we have to do something with these meetings. There's a lot of moving parts. There's always something that doesn't work. We depend on 10 PCs to hold these sessions when it could be done with 1. Aiden, Jody, and I went to a trade show in Ottawa in October, and we saw several vendors that had systems that were based on Zoom or Teams appliances. And it took 1 PC and appliance-sized it, and it had a little touchpad tablet that controlled the meetings. And Stacy could easily start the Zoom session. You're all on. You don't log in. Everybody's in. You pause the session, you record the session, you move to a closed session, including having outside participants securely involved in that. And as we started to look at the pricing behind that, there's a lot of disruption in the marketplace, and the prices look like we can achieve that for $15,000 instead of the original 25 that I had forecasted. So that's another savings of $10,000 or a reduction in capital ask. The online AMP system, we are going to move to 2027. We don't think there's going to be enough of them in 2026 to leverage a online system for that. And we'll look at it in 2027. The ERP system, we have managed to cut $50,000 out of the estimate on that. And then my web security software, again, I did more research, managed to sharpen the pencil, and the ask has been reduced by 50% to $5,000. So the total savings, or the total reduction in ask, it's not really savings, right? Is $113,000. So again, trying to help. I do want to show you a quote or a paragraph or three from the IT master plan. And that identified at the time that we weren't close to spending as much as they think we need to with our operating budget to achieve success. Teresa and I did the math on this today, and we are getting closer. We're up to 2.2%, and that's despite my savings. It's because our budget does grow overall, so it is taking up a greater percentage. So that's good. I'm hoping to achieve those same savings that I achieved this year. And my goal is to reduce the capital ask, especially as it relates to the online services development. The delivery of online services was recognized as a very important strategic initiative by the town. We know that has to grow. We know we have these opportunities with the new ERP system and such. And if I can achieve those savings again, I think we can add a staff member to facilitate that development and to maintain the system. But at the same time, that will create savings and increase the service delivery. So I've highlighted there customer services and internal efficiencies. But recognizing that this year is the last budget for this term, I've pushed that ask off till 2027, so I will defend my position on that next year. So thanks, and I'm all ears for questions.
Thank you very much, Blake. Wish I understood half of what you said. But sorry, I don't, but I understand the money part. So anyways, we will open it up to discussion from council. Who'd like to lead us off with Blake, Deputy Mayor Tennant?
Just a quick one. I think I know the answer to this, but I want to double check that the slide that had all the reductions, is that after this or before this? Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's great. Okay.
Yeah, they are
From the binder. Beautiful. Great. Thank you.
Councillor Conley.
Thank you, Blake. You answered a lot of the questions I had already written down, so that's very good. One question for the AODA compliance for the web code. Is there grant eligibility like there is for other accessibility projects?
So we have looked into that, and nothing has come up in that regard, but we'll continue to look for opportunities there.
And it came up because we had a accessibility audit of our of everything, actually. And that was one of the things we were very deficient in.
Yeah, that's right, because the AODA came up in Ross's thing too, right? Because it covers like physical things like steps to our facilities and
Yeah,
absolutely,
information.
yeah. Yeah, so it's not just a web thing.
Deputy Mayor Tennant?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier. Can maybe Teresa help me wrap my head around, so some of these software packages, some of the physical hardware that we buy for IT doesn't tend to be DC and doesn't tend to be asset management. And I'm sort of wondering why a lot of that stuff might not fit into those categories.
Well, so I don't know that we record software as a TCA, so we just don't call it asset management, even though we're replacing systems we already have. We're not replacing like for like either. We're replacing with great improvements to the functionality. And DC part is you're not allowed to fund administration with DC for any reason.
So when we come to something like a hardware replacement from end of life, like he's got a budget for, ongoing, that I think would be asset management, wouldn't it? You're looking at a piece of hardware that's no longer able to support its task.
Sure. Again, we don't record them as TCAs because they don't hit threshold. They're not $10,000. We could certainly, move half of the money to the asset management taxes line and keep half in the taxes line, but honestly, it's 6 of 1, right? But you're right. We are replacing some and we're expanding with others. We're changing what we do.
But if I could just go further to that, one thing that we did with the creation of my position was start to track IT assets in our asset management. And so we've come up with, a lifespan for things. And I'll give you the example of the laptops. And we've managed to identify that when they hit about 4 years of age, they're consuming more time in support and they become slower and less efficient for staff. So we're trying to replace them on a schedule based on data and, evidence rather than, hey, I got a really old laptop. I'd like to have a new one. Unfortunately, with the TCA part though, is, $2,500 laptops don't qualify.
Thank you for that. Mayor Randall?
I was just curious, when you switched over to the VoIP system from the Bell system, did they send you to the retention office to try and keep you as a payer? Because when we got rid of our $113 line, they tried to keep me for like a week straight. So I can only imagine the hurt the 25,000 would have been. I just want to say, thank you. I appreciate you sharpening your pencil. I was one of the ones that asked you to do that. So I truly do appreciate that. I also appreciate that we have come a long way in a short period of time with a small staff. So thank you to you, Aiden and Jody, for everything that you're doing to get us into the 21st century technologically for our citizens and for our staff. I know it's a huge undertaking. It costs a lot of money. But thank you. That's it.
So I don't know if you remember, some of you who have been around for 8 years, at your orientation session, we had just switched to the computer system we're on. And I talked to you about how much that saved us. Like, for example, we email 60% of all of our bills now. It's the highest rate in the province, actually. Most towns are around 5%. So we save a ton of postage and paper and envelopes and staff time doing that. With our new system, we have a few more things to tackle. So yes, that investment is huge. We're hoping to save a bunch of staff time throughout the integration piece, first of all. But our big target for improvement this time is like electronic routing of accounts payable. So we don't have 4 filing cabinets of paper each year. We won't spend that money on paper each year. We won't lose invoices. They'll go electronically and be saved online and save staff time, etc.
Through you, Mr. Chair, a comment on Bell. They seem to have bypassed the retention department with a couple of our accounts, and they just keep sending the bill. And I have to call and cancel all over again. And we have ticket numbers and we can prove that we canceled, but the bill just keeps coming.
Counselor Kavanaugh.
Yeah, just quickly, I agree, like the investment in any kind of automation, while expensive and a bit of a transition, does generally equate savings and just streamlines processes, both those directly from the people, the public being able to do things online, but also save staff time. So I always appreciate that. On a personal note, having been a technical writer for 25 years, I remember when APIs came out and having to document them, and I had a little PTSD during that presentation. But the one big thing with the new technology that everyone asks about, and so I will ask about, is AI. And, you know, are we developing a policy for how we use AI as a corporation? And just because that is something that's up and coming as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, absolutely. And we actually have engaged with a vendor called GovAI. And I discovered them through MISA presentations. And at the latest one that I went to, realized that more than 60% of municipalities that have undertaken getting an AI vendor partnership have gone with this system because it produces the guardrails that we know are going to be mandated by the province through Bill 194. So we're going to be compliant out of the gate with that, but it also allows us, their licensing model is such that they let everyone in the organization take advantage of it, because we don't know yet where we're going to be able to leverage AI with the biggest bang. And if we reserve it to the senior management team or to managers or select people, we may miss those opportunities. So I really like the fact that we'll be able to roll this out and find out what staff can do with it safely at the same time. And on that note, I wanted to get through budget season before GovAI is going to do an onboarding with you. And you'll get the tools to see what we can do with council's needs in terms of AI. So we also struck up a subcommittee of the IT steering committee to come up with policy that not only matches our requirements for Bill 194, but also allow us to expand its use within the organization, again, responsibly and safely.
Counselor Sexton.
Blake, well done. I apologize for not asking you any questions. I've asked a lot of questions today, but I try to get answers for the questions that people ask me. But because you and Jody were fixing my computer 2 hours ago, I feel I am not in that state to ask you a question, but it sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Any other questions? I will say when this council got together for our first budget, I guess this is our 4th budget together now. And the IT department was I don't want to say non-existent, but it was a shell of itself. And we were so far behind. I remember looking at our 10-year projections on, and it was huge. I'm looking at an elephant. I'm like, how are we going to get this done? And where we are 3 short years later is remarkable. There's no other word, remarkable. Leaps and bounds where I would say we are probably a municipality that's going to be looked upon as, look what you've done in 3 years. So congratulations. Thank you for letting me eat the elephant one bite at a time. Expensive bites, like going to the Black Tartan. It's an experience, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank, I want to thank every one of you because the support has been tremendous through those 3 years. And I also want to express my appreciation to Diane and Teresa, who have been tremendous supporters of my efforts. And I'm really proud of our little IT department. And Aiden and Jody are fantastic. Yeah.
If there's no more questions, that's good. Thank you very much, Blake. Okay, we will be going into closed session for four matters: IT security, staffing, employee benefits, and purchase of land. I will wait before I read the suggested motion. The suggested motion is that the committee move into closed session at 3:39 PM to discuss matters subject to the Municipal Act, Section 239-2. A, the security of the property of the municipality or local board, item 1. Where's B? C, proposed or pending. Okay, there we go. Proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, item 4. Labor relations or employee negotiations, item 2 and 3. And that the following persons be permitted to participate in the meeting: Diane Smithson, CAO, all items; Teresa McConkey, Treasurer, all items; Blake Cram, IT Manager, Business Analysis, item 1; Stacy Blair, Clerk, part of item 2; Dave Joy, Acting Director of Protective Services, part of item 2; Joanne Henderson, Manager of Recreation and Culture, part of item 2; Jessica Hansen, Community Coordinator, part of item 2; Laura Skull, HR Manager, items 2 and 3. Can I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Conley, second by Mayor Randall. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We'll be moving into closed session.
Blake, I can see your screen. Okay, I'm gonna run down. Sorry, there we go.
What did you say, Amanda?
I can see when Blake just put his screen up,
Yeah.
I can still see the screen
Yeah,
share and you guys
right.
are supposed to be enclosed.
What, Thank you for that.
All right, we're back. And we will have a rising report by CEO Diane Smithson, please.
So some of the reports in closed session were received as information and will be further discussed at the next meeting. And some was put in for staff direction. So items 1 was for information. The staffing items number 2, there were multiple items under that, and some were for information at this time. 1 was for a recommendation in closed session to staff direction to staff. The employee benefits matter was staff direction, and the purchase of land was staff direction.
Thank you, Diane. And adjournments, just a motion is that the meeting be adjourned at 5:15. Moved by Councillor Comley very quickly, second by Councillor Sekaspina. No discussions, all in favor? Opposed? Sorry, yes, sorry, before we adjourn,
We have the same problem.
Councillor Sekaspina did declare a conflict of interest in closed session on item 4.
But she's here.
Now she's back.
Because her son owns land in the area.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you very much. Long day, great work by everybody here at council and all staff, and have a great evening. Thank you.